Right now, you are sitting in a temperature-controlled room. You have food within reach. No predator is stalking you. No rival tribe is closing in. By every objective measure, you are safe. And yet, something inside you is on edge. Maybe it is the email you have not answered. Maybe it is the way that stranger looked at you on the street. Maybe it is 3 a.m. and your brain will not stop running through every embarrassing thing you said 6 years ago. You cannot explain it. You cannot turn it off. And that is because the thing doing the worrying was not built for your life. It was built for a completely different one. Your brain is approximately 300,000 years old. The world you live in is about 300 years old at most. That gap, that enormous, vertiginous gap between what your brain evolved for and what it now has to navigate, is responsible for nearly every inexplicable thing you do.
Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett spent decades studying how the brain predicts experience rather than simply reacting to it. What she found changes everything. Your brain is not a passive receiver of information. It is a prediction machine. Right now, before any event has even happened, your brain is running simulations, burning through energy, preparing your body for threats it learned about thousands of generations ago. It cannot help it. It was trained in a world where hesitation could kill you. Think about what that ancient world actually looked like.
Your ancestors woke up every day with no guarantee of food. Caloric scarcity was not a diet trend. It was the baseline reality of human life for most of human history. Every bite of food was an effort. Every meal was a small victory against entropy. So your brain evolved a very simple but powerful rule. If something tastes good, eat as much as you can right now, because there is no promise of tomorrow. That rule kept your ancestors alive. It got their genes into the next generation. And now it sits inside you, unchanged, firing every time a plate of food appears in front of you. The problem is not willpower. The problem is that your brain is using a survival strategy designed for famine and applying it to an unlimited buffet. Anthropologist Herman Pontzer spent years studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. What he found collapsed a lot of assumptions. The Hadza walk long distances every day. They dig, climb, carry. They are extraordinarily physically active. And yet their total daily energy expenditure is not that different from a sedentary office worker in Chicago or London. The body, it turns out, compensates. It downregulates other energy-burning processes when external activity increases. Your body is not trying to burn fat. It is trying to conserve energy. It has been doing that for 300,000 years. Telling it otherwise with a gym membership is fighting an ancient accounting system with a very modern spreadsheet. But it is not just food and energy where the cave brain shows up. It shows up in your relationships. It shows up in your status anxiety. It shows up in the way a single critical comment can ruin an entire day of praise. Here is why.
For most of human existence, being rejected by your group was a death sentence. Not metaphorically, literally. A lone human on the African savanna had almost no chance of survival. You needed your group to hunt, to protect, to share resources, to raise children. Social exclusion was biologically equivalent to a predator closing in. Your brain evolved to treat it exactly that way. Psychologist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran a study using a simple video game called Cyberball. Participants played a virtual ball-tossing game with 2 other players. At a certain point, the other players simply stopped passing the ball to the participant. They were left out. Eisenberger scanned their brains during this moment and found something striking. The same neural regions that light up during physical pain, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula, were activated by social exclusion. Being left out of a game hurt the brain the same way a physical wound does. Your brain does not distinguish between social pain and physical pain because in the ancestral environment, they were equally dangerous. And so now, when your boss does not acknowledge your idea in a meeting, your nervous system responds the way it would if a lion had just appeared on the horizon. Cortisol rises,
heart rate climbs, your focus narrows. You run the same emergency protocol for a professional slight that your ancestor would have run for an actual predator.
This is what researchers call the mismatch hypothesis. The idea, developed extensively by evolutionary psychologist Randolph Nesse, is that many modern disorders, anxiety, depression, chronic stress, even addiction, are not malfunctions. They are ancient adaptations running in the wrong context. Anxiety is not a broken brain. Anxiety is a smoke detector. It evolved to detect threat and motivate avoidance. In a world full of predators and hostile tribes and random environmental dangers, a slightly oversensitive smoke detector was a survival advantage. Better to run from 10 false alarms than to miss one real lion. But now your smoke detector is going off because of your inbox, because of a social media notification, because of a deadline. It does not know the difference. It cannot know the difference. It was not built to. Think about the specific type of information your brain prioritizes. Negative experiences stick faster and harder than positive ones. Psychologist Rick Hansen describes the brain as Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. This is not a personality flaw. This is ancient engineering. In the ancestral environment, the cost of ignoring a threat was death. The cost of ignoring a pleasant sunset was nothing. So the brain learned to encode negative events more deeply, to ruminate on them, to replay them, to make sure the lesson was learned. Your brain replays your embarrassing moment from 6 years ago because it is running a threat detection rehearsal. It is trying to make sure you never do that dangerous thing again. The problem is that the dangerous thing was probably just a mildly awkward comment at a party, not a violation of tribal law that would get you exiled. But your brain does not scale its response to the actual stakes. It scales it to the ancestral stakes. And this extends into how you see the world itself. Your visual system prioritizes movement and contrast. It scans for faces and random patterns. It detects threat shapes before your conscious mind has registered anything. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux mapped what he called the low road of fear processing, a shortcut in the brain that goes directly from sensory input to the amygdala, bypassing the thinking cortex entirely. You can flinch from a stick on the ground that looks like a snake before your conscious brain has had any input at all. You are not irrational. You are running a very fast, very old program that was written in a world full of actual snakes. Now, step back and look at what this means for the life you are actually living. The notifications on your phone triggered the same social monitoring system your ancestors used to track group dynamics in a band of 150 people. Your brain evolved to manage roughly that many social relationships at one time, a limit the anthropologist Robin Dunbar identified and now bears his name. But your phone is asking your Paleolithic social monitoring system to track thousands of strangers simultaneously in real time with a scoreboard attached. Every like, every comment, every silence in a thread is being processed by a system that was never designed for this volume or this speed. Your food cravings are your brain trying to stock up for a famine that is never coming. Your anxiety is your smoke detector screaming at a world it cannot categorize as safe. Your need for status and recognition is your tribal survival system, trying to secure your position in a group you genuinely needed to survive. Your tendency to catastrophize, to imagine worst-case scenarios at 3 a.m, is your ancient threat rehearsal system, doing its job in a world where most of the threats are abstract and psychological, rather than physical and immediate. None of this is weakness. None of this is failure. This is you running extraordinarily sophisticated ancient hardware on a completely new operating system. The mismatch is not your fault. It was never your fault. But knowing it changes something. The next time your brain floods with anxiety over an email, you can acknowledge what is actually happening. A very old part of you is trying to keep you alive, using every tool it has. It does not know that the email is not a predator. It does not know that you are safe. Your job is not to fight it. Your job is to gently update it, one moment at a time, with the evidence of a world it has never seen before. Tonight, when you sit in your temperature-controlled room, food within reach, no predator on the horizon, and something inside you still feels uneasy, that is not a malfunction. That is 300,000 years of survival doing exactly what it was designed to do. The cave is gone, but the brain that built it is still yours.